responsibility to maintain those records from 1813 to 7. So with the changing of technology, we have to keep on top of everything, and I will say that's one thing I'm proud of. When I came to office, we were still doing, I call it chisel and stone, and we've moved into the technology world, and we do everything. We do electronic recording. We have our information online, so you can go online and pick it up. We represent Lebanon County very well, so we're right on the cutting edge with all the neighboring counties. To talk about the Recorder Deeds Office, but I'm going to lean toward the genealogy side of it. I had a presentation about a year and a half ago, and I was hoping that maybe 40 or 50 people would come. I had 156 people there that night. In the Recorder's office, people think that we just do deeds and mortgages, but it really is much more than that. There's like 50 to 60 different documents. One of the projects that I just completed was the miscellaneous documents, which are like power of attorneys, easements, sometimes sat pieces. I had that information done by a vendor, so that information was just moved over just about 2 weeks ago, and so that's on the LandX system now, and records from 1813 to present, so I'm really proud about that. The deeds we continue to work on, we have images from 1947 to present, but the index information is there from 1933 to present. And my staff is taking that apart. I won't even go into all the details, but I was trying to find a vendor that could do this job, and nobody would even touch it. I have a wonderful staff. Every day that I look good, it's because of my staff. I just want to say that right up front. I only have 4 people working. The housing market is really in the tank, as everybody knows. It's been rough the last couple of years, and I had my staff cut by 2. And anyway, with the technology, we've been able to do it. It does keep us busy, but we still have time to do some back documents, so that's really wonderful. I'll tell you about a scam, and I'm sure you all have heard about this, but I know WGL touched on it. Every now and then you might get something in the mail, and it says, get a copy of your deed. And it looks like a bill on the bottom, and I think they prey on senior citizens, and it'll say you can get a copy of your deed for $89. Well, let me tell you, you can get a copy of your deed for $2. Just come in and visit us. And people also, if you lose your deed, your original, just come to the Recorder's office. We certified it's as good as the original deed that was presented. So I think people, especially when they get elderly and they can't find things and they get all flustered, I just want people to know that information's there, and you do not have to pay $89 to get a copy of your deed. The other thing that I do want to touch on the remote. The first paper here is about the remote. This is really a professional site more, but anybody can use it. So all the information, all the land records are online, and you put $25 from a credit card and put it on. And that not only entitles you to the information from Lebanon County, but all the counties listed here on the back.
You mean all the free ones? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All these are paid. Just remember that if you want Dalton or Lancaster, go there free. We're being charged. But anyway, if you go on and you need York or some of these other counties, you can get that with that $25. And it is actually cheaper to do it this way if you're doing a lot of copying. And there's also a web store. We have, in case you just want one deed one time, you don't have to pay that $25. It's actually, you pay $5 to go on, and then you get the deed. And also, if you call us, I do the call and ask me for a copy of your deed. I will mail it to you, and we will put a bill there. We are there to serve, and we're happy to do that for anyone. Now I'm going to move over to the genealogy side. If you are planning to do a genealogy search, go back into your ancestry. When you come into the office, remember you need to have a lot of time. It's not something you're going to do in 10 minutes, a half an hour. You're lucky if you can do it in a couple hours. But we will help you. We'll get you started. I cannot let a staff member stay with you. I just don't have enough staff to do that. But we'll work with you and we'll get you started. Usually we start with the current owner, and you look at the deed, and there'll always be a reference to the prior deed, book and page. And so then you just keep working your way back through time. And it's amazing when you look at the documents. If you go way back in time, you should just stop and look at them. They're beautifully handwritten. I'm preserving some of those. Again, that's very costly. But every year I dedicate a little bit of money to that through my record improvement, that history is preserved. You'll find some things from William Penn. There is history just written right there in front of you. Years ago when they wrote a deed, they would say the description. They'll say at the rock and the oak tree, and really, and they'll talk about the animals that they had and the barn, and so it's really interesting to read some of them. There is a lot of information when you come in, and it might reference you over to the Register of Wills office. So you might be going all over the building until you get all your information. It tells you which different types of books there are. Looking at, there's deed books, sheriff's deeds, corporation deeds, mortgage books, and miscellaneous books, etc. So there are a lot of different things to look at. And these are separate books, corporation books. So it might give you that information, might say CO. If it's a CO book, then it's a corporation book. Highway plans, we have flood maps, road dockets. I just did the road dockets, had them imaged and brought them on the system. The roads, again, it's funny how they're worded. We're trying to index them to say where it is, and it's like, it's very difficult. We're happy we can even figure out what township it is, but it'll say, at the creek on an old state road in Jonestown or something like that, and we have to try and figure out how to index it, because the goal of our office, we're like a library, our goal of our office is to have the information and for people to find it. We also have cemeteries. Now, when I say that, it's limited. We do not keep, people call us and say, do you have a copy of our deed to our cemetery? No. But there are cemeteries that are recorded because of the churches owning them, things like that. So clubs and lodges, they come to us looking for charters and things like that as they go back in time. People come in and they want to find out how old their house is for insurance purposes. So again, we're trying to work people back with that. Old deed books, if you look at the second page, which I'm on this one, there are documents in German. There are release of heirs. There's one or two, a seizure of property because of treason. So it's really interesting to see it. The other thing that you have to remember, names change over time. So you may have had the name Regal, and the spelling, they dropped the E, they dropped the L, so as time goes on. So the one thing when I tell people to come in and they're putting information in, and there's information in there how to use the computer system. So if you're thinking about going on the remote and using it, I would suggest you come into the office, learn the system right there, we'll help you. But there are cheat sheets, I call them, here to learn how to use the computer system. So, but I always say less information is better than more. So if you put in the last name and you want to put in, I'm going to use my name Lutz, last name, first name Donna, I just put D.O. because a document may have been given with Donna Lutz, it may be Donna J. Lutz, it might be D.O.N.A. Lutz, and then you think, okay, is that part of it or not? Because what you see is what you get. And if a company puts in a mortgage and they spell the names wrong, we have to put them in wrong because we really don't know if it's wrong. It's not like we can call and say, and if you think about it, the Mennonites, there's a lot of Eugene Martins. So sometimes Eugene Martin is giving it to Eugene Martin, and so what we see is what you get. And you can break that down. You can break it down by deeds or whatever. You can break it down by municipalities. If you're just looking for things in Union Township, you can break it down like that also. There are definitions of different. The tenement is a house, and a yeoman is a free man, and so there's different terminology. People will say to us, "What does this mean?" So we're happy to tell you what we know. Actually, my first deputy has been there for a long time, and she's excellent, Dawn Eversole. She's my right hand as far as searching things. I have a conversion chart here on purchase to feet. Years ago, instead of feet, they used purchase, and people say, well, how much is that? So if it's 80 purchases, that's a half an acre. So 160 purchases is 1 acre. So we gave a chart on that too. When you can't find something, you might spell the name Brubaker, and you're not finding the one you want. We always say do like BRU and then put the percent sign, which is this big red sheet. And that way you'll find more information. Sometimes you can find things that you couldn't find other ways. I gave you a list of all the streets and alleys in the city of Lebanon as they have changed through time. It's interesting, and you'll look at some and you go, oh, I remember that, you know, Liberty Alley, and now it's something else or something like that. So the other thing is the big map. It shows you how in 1813 and prior, how we incorporated. So if you look down the legend, you'll see Lebanon is number 47. And if you look at the little maps across the thing, it'll show you how we came to be Lebanon County in 1813. These packets are, I give them to anybody that comes in and tells me they're doing genealogy. There's a state law, so copies in my office are 50 cents a page. It's an interesting office. We're on the first floor. Please come visit us anytime. And I think attorneys tell people not to record them. And what happens is a lot of times the power of attorney isn't recorded, and then they find them. Mother is now incapacitated, can no longer sign or anything, and they bring it in, and it doesn't meet one of the requirements to make it a recordable document. And I feel really bad because it will say the notary's not right, or there's something wrong here, I can't record it. Please just record them. It costs you a little bit of money, but record it up front. If you're thinking at some point you might have to sell mom and dad's real estate, just do it. And we really try to work with people. We always have to have the original document. We cannot record anything that's a copy. Our biggest headache are power attorneys and easements. Everybody says, I have an easement on my property, and can you find it? Well, I'll tell you what, that is hard to find. And sometimes it is on the deed, but a lot of times that information is not recorded. And that also, we do UPI numbers. And I know people were upset because there's a $10 fee to that, but actually over the years of time, it'll be a really plus because it's like a social security number for that property, and it won't matter who owned it because you'll put that number in and you'll be able to bring up all the history under that number. So there was a court case against recorders of deeds. We would refuse blanket documents. And what I mean by blanket document, the oil and gas companies are so smart. They would bring in leases and they would put maybe 200 leases on one document. Well, first of all, it affects the county because they're only getting one recording fee, but they're trying to get all these documents on. So anyway, it went to court. We lost. The recorder of deeds lost the case. So we're trying to get legislation, but anytime there's a blanket document, it becomes an issue. The goal in the office is to find the information. So once you throw everything into one thing, you're not going to find it. And we do one reference usually. When people are doing this, and I had a lady call from another county. Sometimes they'll call me and I'll say, what do you do? And they had a deed and they had a copy of a power of attorney, and the person was insisting that they record the power of attorney, and I said, you can't. But whether it's legal, doesn't matter. You record something does not make it legal. It still can go to court. Just because it's recorded doesn't make it legal. To make it recordable, you have to have a date, a signature, a notary, a municipality. Pretty much that's it, a legal description, and it's recordable. And
One of the sticklers that our solicitor talks about, that once the notary symbol not over anybody's signature and all that
that's
stuff.
a law.
Yes, that is us. We will reject you really quickly.
Our solicitor.
Freemen that come in, and what they're doing is they're trying to file a document and state that their property, they don't have to owe any taxes to the United States, and they go on and on and on, and they get nasty, and they want to sue you, and it is not pretty. I found that if you talk with them one-on-one, you really don't become the enemy, and you can say it's not recordable. I don't know if there are any bankers here, but honestly, banks, we need you to start giving money to people so that the mortgages come on and that we can sell properties, because I think the banks are slowing it, the process down. I know they're telling me there's a lot of federal regulations that have just gone on and make it more difficult, but the housing market is really, really slow.